Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and these are my social media links. Should you wish to follow me or like me on another one of the platforms, I'd love to see you there. So today's little tutorial is about napkins. Now, this is a piece of one of my artworks. It's a napkin based rice paper board. All of these are different elements. Some, I think that was rice paper, this was definitely napkin, this was napkin. I think that might have been rice paper, that might have been napkin. As you can see, I use it and utilize it a lot. But what I want to do today is show you what I do with the backs of napkins, not the picture part. So let's take that to one side. Now, just so we're all clear on where I am. So this is a piece of napkin. I love napkins, I use them a lot, and I buy them and collect them whenever I can. When you get a napkin normally has 2 layers or 3 layers. Very often it's 3, but sometimes it can be 2. So if I take slightly damp fingers and pinch this and pull it apart, you can see that gives me the backmost layer. Okay, now this is what I refer to as a clean layer. So if I put a piece of white card behind it, you can see this is uncontaminated by anything whatsoever. It's a clean layer. However, if I bring that napkin back in and I do the same process again and take off the next layer, hopefully this napkin will do it. It usually works with the ones that have got a darker pattern or darker ink on it. Let's take that to one side, it'll be used later. As you can see, or hopefully you can see, there's marks on here. So this is what I would call a dirty layer. Now there are uses for these. If you're doing things like fabric paper and stuff like that, you can still utilise them, but for what I want, I won't be using that. Let's put that to one side then. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stamping onto them. I'm just going to use a few generic stamps. I've got a bit of fun foam here which I'm going to stamp on upon as well, and I'm going to do a fun few stamps. I would recommend using archivals or permanent inks. The being on that is that you're going to get them wet in a few minutes, and if you've got ones that are not permanent inks, they're likely to smear. So I'm just going to stamp up a few things just while I've got you here. So I'm going to bring in that clean bit of napkin. Now when you do this, don't group things too closely together, because if you group them too closely together, what you're going to find is that when you come to use them, you'll be restricted on where you can place them or what sort of things you can use them on. So I'm just going to ink up whichever processor you usually use, whether it's ink pad to stamp or stamp to ink pad, and I'm going to press it on, hold it for a few seconds, take it off, and I've got a butterfly. So let's stamp that off on something. Just clean my stamp off as I go. Let's take another one. So let's take a word this time. So we're just going to build up a few, and this is what I would do once I've finished working with napkins. I would actually go through, stamp a whole load of things onto them. Oh, it didn't stamp very well. I probably didn't ink it enough. User error. So let's take that one more time. There you go. That's better. Let's take that one, clean that off. So all I'm doing on the side over there, by the way guys, is I've just got a clean bit of card and I'm actually just stamping stuff onto it. It'll create another background at some point. Yeah, let's do another one. Please don't in the comments ask me where these frames are from. I couldn't tell you. I destashed last year and I got rid of all of the stamps that I didn't like, and what I did was I only kept the ones I did like. However, stupidly, I threw out all the packaging. So I now have no idea whose stamps are whose. So let's do one in brown as well. Now, don't only think you can stamp in black. I'm stamping in brown here because there are some projects where I want that vintage look and I've got a brown stamp instead. Now other things you can obviously use a rubber stamp, any of these little stamps I've got. I'm not going to bore you with loads and loads of stamps because I've already stamped out everything I need for this project. and it's good for you to dig through your stash and actually experiment a little. So as you can see, I've got my pieces here. Now, I don't normally store them in whole pieces. What I'll do is I'll just go in and I'll cut it into pieces like this, just to make sure that they're a little more handy. And then what I would do is I would put that in an envelope or something and mark it, labels or boxes. When it comes to something like a butterfly like this, I tend to cut it and leave a lot of napkin around it, and we'll show you why in a little while. Okay, so that's that one to one side. So there you go, that's that one. So let's put that to one side as well. So let's bring in what we're actually going to be doing. Let's move all of this out of the way. Need that, need that, need that. I'm just going to be using some tag backgrounds. Now these happen to be from one of my digital kits from my Etsy shop. They could be any backgrounds whatsoever. I have chosen one that I've got white in, and it's got all these patches and layers in it, purely because that's what these work best on, but I will be using something else as well. So let's take that to one side. I should not do that one first, let's do that one first. So let's bring in some of the elements. Now I've already cut them apart, but that doesn't mean they need to stay cut apart. I can actually use them on my napkins, on my tags, but to get a blended area, I'll actually tear the sides. So let's take the butterfly one. Now, if I was to stick that onto this particular tab, what would happen is I'd have a line. So when I tear a napkin, I hold the edge with my finger and thumb quite tightly and then pull away. You could go around with a water pen and mark the edges with water, and then they tear easier. This just happens to be the way I do it. I want a slightly frayed edge because I found it'll blend in better. So this is the first method. There's going to be two different methods of doing this, so hang around, we haven't finished yet. Let's take that out of the way. So I'm going to use, for this particular one, I'm going to use Distress Collage Medium. You can use any collage medium or matte medium you wish to use. Okay, we're going to be using a glue stick later on, so I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to put my butterfly here. So I'm going to put the matte medium on there, and then I'm going to take my butterfly up. I tend to hold it over the piece, lay it down, and once it's in place I will work from the center outwards, and as I work outwards it should be completely blended in. I take a little bit more of the matte medium over the top, just so it's completely sealed in there. Now, if I've got any little bits, like I've got a little bit hanging over there, wait till this is fully dried, and then you can take it off again. So there you go. So that's how I put that on there. We'll revisit some of these afterwards. We'll have a little show and tell later. So let's move that to one side. Now, let's do one more with the matte medium. Now, so this one is quite vintagey, so I'm going to put a label in here, and I'm going to put label there. And the reason I like doing, which I might put there, the reason I like doing these with napkins is sometimes you'll spend a long time creating a tag and you want an extra element on it, but you're very nervous to stamp because sometimes stamping doesn't work, or it goes wrong, or you get a bit of ink pad on the edge, or you put it on and you don't get a completed image, and then you're worrying about how am I actually going to make this look perfect. This way you can stick them on and it's easier. So again, I'm going to come in, let's put it down there, come in like that, lift up my piece, line it up to the best of my abilities. Remember guys, I'm working through an iPad here, so it may not be the straightest it's going to be. When you're looking at that, that's not that bad. Right, I had enough medium on my brush to actually seal that down. So as you can see, I've now got the effect of stamping directly on top of there, but I didn't stamp, so I didn't risk any of the mistakes or errors that work with that. Now, should we do that? We'll do one more with this. So, okay, on here I want to put a word. Now, we know that putting words onto napkin, onto tags is great. We use it a lot, but how many of us actually dip in to our store of rubber stamps to do it? We usually tear off a piece of paper, or we buy a digital from someone and we stick those on. This way, you can actually make your own. So let's take that off. So I've got the word dream, and I'm just going to come down and put that down the side here. So pick it up with that. Let's pop that on there, then brush it away. And as you can see, the napkin almost disappears into the surface of the tag. Okay, so there you go, I've got that on there. It takes just a few minutes for that to dry, and then I could work over the top, and then I could distress, I could do everything I did before. Let's move that one to there. Right, let's put the matte medium by, because not everyone has got matte medium. Let's move that to one side. Let's pop that over there. On the next couple, I'm actually going to be using a good old glue stick. I use Pritt, only because it's the one I've got close to me, and I'm going to use an old store credit card or store card, door key from a hotel, anything like that. So let's pull in one of these and show you can do exactly the same thing. So what have we got here? Actually, I want to use that one. We're going to use, actually, I want to use that on this one. So first of all, I'm going to take my piece. This was another one of the pieces I stamped. I'm just going to take it down. As I said, I do like to tear the edges because it helps them blend in a bit. If you can hear a dog barking in the background, that's Biscuit, and he's going to be in trouble later on. Yeah, he's got a big bark. So, but you know what? He's part of the family and he lives here. So I'm actually going to take this. I'm going to get a glue book in. I've just got that just to protect my surface. And I'm going to put glue directly where I want this to be on my tag. I'm going to come in. Hopefully I've got that centralized. Put it down, and then I'm very, very gently going to rub it down with the store card. And there you go. I've added an element to it. So let's put something down here as well. I've got another one of these on the go. So let's take this off here. Tearing around. Now, I would recommend tearing them when you need them, not tearing them before you store them. And the last tag I'm going to do, which is going to be the next one, I'll be able to show you a reason for that on that one. Okay, Biscuit's going to be in big trouble at the end of this video. And I've just torn that corner off. So there you go. So I'm going to come in and we're going to put a bit of glue stick down here. Well, I don't know who's at my front door, but they don't sound like they're welcome. There you go. Rub that over there and there. And as you can see, I've now put two elements on there. All I need now is I could put a focal point on here. I could actually stick something. What have I done there? I didn't smooth it down enough. There you go. I could actually stamp another word in there, or I could come in when this is dry and actually add my word into the middle of that one. So that's that one. Now, I did say we were going to look at a different sort of tag. Now, this one has just been done with Brushos. And I chose this because it's not this sort of background. And the background of our tissue is actually white. Now, if I put white on here, and just put that, you will see it's going to be very, very obvious that I've put tissue on it. So what I will do with this one is when I choose my image to go on here, I want to make sure that the image completely covers, the tissue completely covers my entire tag. Okay, let's take that. Where's that glue book gone again? There you go. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue stick my entire tag. I would prefer to use a glue stick in this instance than using collage medium because Brushos can be activated by water, so you have to be a little bit aware of that, because if you're using something that's going to be activated by water, guess what? All the colours are going to move around. So I'm going to lay that on the top of there. That's about where I want it to be. I'm going to use my card again just to smooth that out. Lift that up. A bit of a crease in that. Now, what I would do then is afterwards, I could then trim around the edges. Now, if you really wanted to at this point, because you now have a barrier between your Brushos and your image, you could then take matte medium if you wished and paint that over the top. And what that would do is that would actually make that a little more transparent and your napkin a little less obvious. Okay, let's brush it all the way down. It also adds a layer of protection. As I said, I would then leave that totally, and I would trim it off with a pair of scissors afterwards, because I don't want to be doing that straight away. Let's put that to one side, put the lid on my glue, because obviously I don't want that to get thick and gummy. So let's put that to one side. So hopefully you're all doing all right out there. Just wanted to share something with you. There you go. And these are just some of the other ones that I've stamped. As you can see, that's really nice. If I wanted to, let's say, if I were to put that on there, it's quite quick and easy to do with this method, guys. However, if I was going to be stamping it, would I be confident that I'm going to get a perfect stamp every time? Maybe not. So let's just bring in a bit of distress ink, just so we can see that now this is fully dried. If I just go down around the edges, I can just distress this as I did normally, all the way around. And obviously the napkin will distress as well. And just quite simply, I've made a tag. I just put a focal point. I could put a label. I could put anything in that. Again, really, really simple idea. The reason I like using pre-printed tagged backgrounds, which obviously I've got them in my Etsy shop, is because it cuts down the bulk in my journaling. It means I don't have layers and layers of fabric and stuff, but I do want to make them slightly more dimensional. So if I put another element here, that's only one element I've added. However, with this tag, I would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers if I'd have done it the way we did it without using a printed background. So this is just some of the ones that I've done. As you can see, great for inscriptions, because you can get the inscription wherever you want it on there. This one I'm going to show you, but obviously I can't actually cut out until it's totally dry, or it'll end up as a complete mess. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. Remember, the name is Ceri the Crafter. So that's me, C-E-R-I, the Crafter. The social media links are here as normal. I'm glad you enjoyed this. There'll be more videos coming from me soon, and I'm working on doing YouTube lives as well. So hopefully if you're out there and you're there when I'm there, we can have a chat and say hello. Take care, guys. Have a great time. Bye-bye now.